A spark plug is usually seen as just a small engine part, but few realize it's built to handle extreme heat and high voltage. That's exactly why it becomes such an interesting material to reuse, especially when turning it into a simple yet effective homemade welding tool. Here I also have a positive electrical plug, an everyday item so familiar that most people never stop to look closely at how it's made. The prong itself is solid metal, designed for good conductivity, durability, and long-term heat resistance. Looking at it more carefully, a different thought came to mind. With just a bit of modification, reshaping and refining the tip, could this humble plug prong actually serve as a homemade soldering tip? It's a simple idea, but one that's definitely worth exploring. After sharpening the tip, it now looks much closer to a real soldering iron tip. The original idea is starting to take shape, and everything seems to be going in the right direction. So there's no need to pause here, let's move on to the next step. In this wiring step, we'll arrange and connect the wires neatly, making it easier and safer to prepare the device for connection to the power source in the next stage. Don't forget to use tape to secure part of the wire to the spark plug body. This helps keep the wire from getting tangled or shifting during testing, making everything cleaner and easier to manage. For the handle of this homemade welding tool, I decided to go with a piece of PVC pipe. Feels comfortable in the hand, light, familiar, and easy to work with. That said, securely fixing the threaded body of the spark plug inside the pipe isn't as straightforward, and this is where a small trick comes in if you want everything to stay solid. And my approach is pretty straightforward. I wrap paper tissue around the spark plug body until it fits snugly inside the PVC pipe. Once it's firmly in place, a bit of glue is added to lock everything down. Simple, clean, and solid enough for practical use. With the remaining end of this wire, I'm going to attach an alligator clip. It may look like a small detail, but it plays an important role, making connections quicker, easier, and far more flexible during later testing and use. Of course, we also need an additional connector for the negative side of the power source. Its structure is fairly simple: a length of wire with alligator clips attached at both ends, allowing for quick and flexible connections during use. I'm using a small battery as the power source, supplying just enough energy for the device to operate steadily without being excessive. When the two terminals of the power source come into contact and an electric arc appears like this, it's a clear sign that the setup is working as intended. But to truly judge how effective this device is, I'll be running two small tests next. So don't look away, make sure you stay until the very end. And with that, our little DIY journey comes to a close. Starting from a handful of familiar parts, some of them easily overlooked, we managed to put together a homemade welding tool that actually works. It's not meant to be perfect, and it certainly doesn't replace professional equipment, but it proves an important point. Creativity often begins when you look at ordinary things a little differently. With curiosity, patience, and the willingness to experiment, there's always something new to learn. If you found this project interesting, I hope you'll stick around for the next one, because the next old, forgotten item near you might just become the idea for another build.